Hello everybody, thank you for joining me for part 3 of your weekend love reading from March 20th to March 22nd, 2020. So this is actually the third time I'm trying to record this part. I forgot what the issue was the first time. Oh yeah, I ran out of space on my phone. And so it ended up just completely cutting the video off. I think it was maybe like 3/4 of the way through. And so I went to go ahead and try to record it again yesterday. And I did, and everything went great. I had enough space, but it turns out, even though the audio shows up on my program where I recorded it, when I import it to my video editing program, it just isn't there for some reason for about half of the reading. So I usually take that, as the universe saying that there's other messages that want to come through other than what came through for that particular reading. Given that reading ended up being, like, the third part ended up being almost like 40 minutes. That was like before editing. I didn't edit anything because I saw there was no sound, so my apologies for all of these being up a day late. I want to make sure they're all out on the same time. I don't like making people wait for their signs, so I just put out multiple parts. I usually like to do them over the span of a couple of days due to the editing time and all that stuff. But that said, that's really all I have to say about that. I'm going to see how this one goes. I checked on my phone, I have space. I checked on my hard drive, I have space. So we should be good to go unless there's some kind of catastrophic meltdown of technology or something, which let's hope doesn't happen. But yeah, I hope you all are doing well. Hope everybody's staying calm and staying safe and all that good stuff. Keep in mind that this reading will be for Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. It can apply to any placement you have in your chart. And even if you do not have one of those placements and you're a cross-watcher, I don't judge you. But you will have those placements, or not a placement, you will have those signs in one of your houses. So that said, I do implore you to have your natal chart open while we do this. Keep in mind time and energy are fluid, so these messages can apply to you, another person, or vice versa, so don't force it if it doesn't fit. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But that said, without further ado, I'm going to take a deep breath, and I do implore you to connect with your higher self and spirit while we do so. Call it to spirit to please help myself and anyone watching this to hear, see, and know anything we need to hear, see, and know for the weekend of March 20th to March 22nd, 2020 in love. Hello Sagittarius, I hope you're doing well. Keep in mind that this reading can apply to any Sagittarian placement that you have. Even if you are a cross-watcher, I do not judge you, but you will have a Sagittarius in one of your houses. So I do implore you to have your chart open while we do this. Keep in mind time and energy are fluid, so these messages can apply to you, another person, or vice versa. If it doesn't fit, don't force it, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But that said, we are going to do 3 shuffles and get into your reading for the weekend. One more shuffle. Alright, Sagittarius. What do we have for you? So we have the 10 of Wands, we have Death, reverse, we have the Fool, reverse, and we have the 5 of Cups. So, the 5 of Cups being the overall energy is telling me that you may be focusing on situations that have gone south, I suppose, if that's a good way to put it. Just, it seems like you're focusing on a lot of disappointments in relationships. 5 of Cups usually indicates somebody focusing on the 2 cups that are spilled in front of them while there's 3 full cups behind you. And so, given this is a love reading and the fact that we have the Fool reverse and the Death reverse with the 10 of Wands, that's telling me that you may be feeling a bit burdened when it comes to a relationship that may have fell through, or something that didn't pan out the way you thought it would. And so this is just indicative of the need to kind of recognize the fact that that is a part of the process of love and relationships. Whether that leads to you being with this particular person, it is ultimately serving your growth, and there's really no sense in dwelling on the negative aspects of the situation. And really just trying to find the silver lining within this relationship right now. Given, let's say you are with somebody and this reading applies to you, I think the way we can look at that in terms of being in a relationship is not focusing so much on the difficulties in the relationship and focusing on the love that you have for each other and not letting the difficulties overshadow all of the beautiful things that are present in the relationship. But we're going to shuffle and clarify these for you. Because when I see death in reverse, to me that represents rebirth, right? When it's in the upright, it represents transformation. It can represent endings. It is also the card of Scorpio. But in this context, it does feel like a rebirth type of energy. So if this isn't in regard to a relationship you're in, this relationship may very well be going through a major transformation for you right now. And the fact that there is a 10 of Wands here can represent you coming to the end of the burdensome cycles. 10 in the Tarot, referring to endings, completion of cycles. So it seems like whatever arduous cycle you may have been going through or are currently going through is coming to a close. But clarifying the 10 of Wands, we have the 5 of Pentacles. Clarifying death reverse, we have the Moon reverse. Clarifying the Fool reverse, we have Ace of Pentacles reverse. And at the bottom of the deck, clarifying the overall energy, we do have the Knight of Cups. And I am also drawn to this 2 of Swords at the bottom of the deck as well. So if we're taking a look at the overall energy here again, the fact that that seems to be a kind of a predominant energy right now. 2 of Swords in the reverse can represent the need to come to a peaceful resolution. You may be feeling like you aren't at a peaceful resolution with somebody. You may be dealing with a water sign. Given we do have one card here, the Knight of Cups can represent a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces you may be dealing with. But to me, Knight of Cups as the overall energy represents somebody who wants to come forward and express their love, somebody who wants to express everything that has been going on. Given that we do have it clarifying the 2 of Swords reverse and the 5 of Cups, whoever this is, whether this is you or another person, keep in mind this can be vice versa. There is a sense of needing to have a conversation about some of the disappointments in order to not let them overshadow, right? Because I feel like if you don't air out all of the skeletons in your guys' closets when it comes to, emotions and experiences you've had with each other. Let's say like you guys have been through a lot and you're just keeping it to yourself. Maybe they did or said something that, really, really hurt you. And this energy is coming to you to let you know that in order to really move forward and to get to this rebirth energy, you need to be okay with communicating those kinds of things. And if you're with somebody who isn't okay with that, then you need to evaluate your own values and what it is you need out of a relationship, and whether you want to continue to build with somebody who cannot provide you something as simple as a healthy conversation about your emotions, right? But what is interesting is we have the 5 of Pentacles here with the 10 of Wands. This to me tells me that either you or another person is feeling like you're out in the cold. And there's this kind of like disconnect between the love you had for each other and the ability to move past any difficulties you may have faced. Because we have the Moon reverse clarifying this death reverse. The Moon reverse to me can represent the Sun, but right now I feel like this is the kind of more toxic traits of the ego, toxic traits of your shadow, what have you. There's this sense of needing to kind of find some sort of balance, and I feel like that's why that 5 of Pentacles is here. And so if there is a stage in which you feel like you're out in the cold, or there's kind of like a disconnect between you right now, it's to get you to deal with some of these things. It's to get you to recognize the fact that you're closing out some very difficult, likely very karmic cycles. And the fact that we have the Fool reverse and the Ace of Pentacles reverse tells me that right now is not a good time to try to start anything new. Not in the sense of like anything at all in life, but it's looking like in this situation, in this context particularly, it's feeling like now is not a good time to try to rehash the past, especially if you have worked through it. And so we're seeming to get a little bit, a couple of different scenarios here with the same context, in which there needs to be a conversation. There's another scenario where maybe now is not a good time to have that conversation, but that can still apply to this situation. So maybe it's good to recognize the fact that you need to talk about something, but the cards are coming to you to let you know that don't move forward with that until you've taken time to understand that. And that is something that comes out for a lot of signs. In particular, this came out a lot for Virgo in the past for some of the weekend love readings. And it's essentially the need to really, really understand the deeper mechanisms of your emotions as they relate to not only this person, but to past traumas, etc., etc., and understanding how that may impact your relationships. because if you do so, it's going to allow you to move forward in ways that are healthier for everybody involved. But we're going to get a closing message here for you, Sagittarius. One last shuffle. Closing message for Sag, we have the Mountain Goat. Can represent Capricorn. We may be dealing with the Capricorn Earth sign, but it says fighting for love or ardent declarations may hide unfaithfulness. And I always find this deck interesting, particularly when cards like this come out, because I feel like the energy I get from some of these cards, it feels like somebody made this from a place of maybe being hurt. Like, it doesn't feel like it was made from a place of trying to, I don't know, like, there's some cards, yes, I do feel like they're guiding a lot of people and there's a lot of really helpful things, but then I get cards that seem to be stemming from like trust issues. But I think the reason behind that, it's not because there's any malintent behind the meaning of these cards, but I think it's to bring to light the fact that there may be trust issues on both ends, especially since it says ardent declarations may hide unfaithfulness. I'm not feeling like any of you are really hiding anything from each other, but what I am feeling is there might be like a love bombing type of energy to kind of gloss over the fact that you are insecure and you are afraid of losing somebody. And it's kind of necessary for you to be honest with yourself with that, because that's going to help you understand ways you can connect with this person that won't stem from your trauma, that won't stem from you trying to keep this person around out of insecurity. And if this person decides they don't want to move forward, you can't really use it as a reason to let yourself fall back into your old ways, because if you do, you're likely going to attract a very similar situation. And so it's a vicious cycle, but I think the first step to healing that and to moving forward in a way that won't repeat the past is recognizing the cycle in the first place, and by doing so, taking most, if not all, of its power away, so long as you don't continue to act in the same vein. But that said, that's all I have for you, Sagittarius. If you'd like to book a personal reading, please send me an email to jzargoshepard@gmail.com. But I love you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye. Hello, Capricorn. I hope you're doing well. Keep in mind that this reading can apply to any Capricorn placement you have in your chart. If you are a cross-watcher, I do not judge you, but do keep in mind that while you may not have a Capricorn placement, you will have Capricorn in one of your houses. That said, I do implore you to have your chart open while we do this reading. Keep in mind that time and energy are fluid, so these messages may apply to you, another person, or vice versa. If it doesn't fit, don't force it. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But that said, we're going to actually do 2 shuffles. Spirit's telling me to do 2 shuffles, and we're going to go ahead and get into your energies for the weekend in love, March 20th to March 22nd, 2020. Deck for you. Alright, what do we got? We have the Emperor. We have the 9 of Pentacles. No, excuse me. Then we have the Queen of Wands, but the 10 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So, I feel like this could be a counterpart situation, but the fact that we only have the Emperor, not the Empress, but I guess the step below, so to speak, of the Empress, I guess in hierarchical means would be the Queen. So it's like the Queen, I think it's like the Page, the Queen, and then the Empress, and then the Knight, the King, and the Emperor. And so, while this can be a counterpart situation, this doesn't really feel like a counterpart situation. If it is, it would be looking at the masculine energy here, so keep in mind this isn't gender specific, but the Emperor can represent you in this situation, given we do have what looks like to be a ram. It can also be representative of the Capricorn energy, given this is a Capricorn reading. So I'm feeling like you're coming to the end of codependency is what's coming through. The fact that we do have the 10 of Wands is the overall energy. The 10 of Wands to me represents coming to the end of a particular cycle. Especially when it comes to love, since this is a love reading, and there is a Queen of Wands here, so you may be coming to the end of a very difficult cycle with somebody you have been dealing with. It doesn't necessarily feel like this is the ending of the relationship, but more so ending a way in which the relationship was operating that wasn't very healthy. The fact that we do have the 9 of Pentacles between the Emperor and the Queen of Wands tells me that there is a sense of needing to adopt a deeper sense of independence, quite honestly. When I see this in the reverse, it usually indicates some type of codependent behavior that needs to be dealt with, but I feel like this Ten of Wands as the overall energy is why this is upright right now, because the universe is placing a lot of us in a period of needing to become more independent and not so much reliant on external validation, whether that's through friends or through family or through social media. It's okay to have those things to an extent, but I feel like if you rely solely on that for your well-being, it's just a path to destruction that won't do very well. But I'm going to actually clarify a bit here, because the Emperor, it can represent your inner masculine energy, but it can also represent a masculine partner or counterpart that you're dealing with. Keep in mind, not gender specific. So if this is the case, this represents what the masculine is going through right now, whether that's the external person or your internal experience, coming to the end of those cycles, learning to be independent in a healthy way. Really not learning to rely on that external person is what I'm being shown, because we have the Queen of Wands here, right? And so this can represent the feminine energy and the connection. So let's see, we have a Three of Wands, clarifying the Emperor. We have the King of Pentacles, clarifying the Nine of Pentacles. We have the Nine of Cups, clarifying the Queen of Wands, and bottom of the deck, Four of Pentacles. So, Three of Wands to me, given it's clarifying the Emperor, it does feel like a type of celebratory energy, but it also feels like a form of balance, because when I see threes in the tarot, often represents a balance to me. But given we have Four of Pentacles clarifying this overall energy here, Four of Pentacles can represent the need to let go of something, or can tell you that you're holding on too tight, whether this is to the way a relationship used to be, or the desires that you have regarding a relationship, and trying to find ways to not project that onto another person. But I want to take a look at this Knight of Cups here, because the Knight of Cups can also represent emotional independence, similar to how the Ace of Cups can represent emotional independence, but it can also represent, wish fulfillment, as I've seen some readers say. But given like the numerological aspects of this, we have two nines on the table. That boils down to a 9. If you add them both together and do numerology, it comes out to 18. 8 plus 1 is 9. And so 9 to me represents the need to focus on ways to not bring yourself back into the same cycles, because 10 is right after that, ending the cycle, which is what we have here. So the King of Pentacles can represent you, can represent an earth sign that you're dealing with. We do have a king and a queen, but they're of different suits. So what I'm feeling like, given that this seems to be, insight into, the masculine side of another person or yourself, there is this sense of coming out of that really deep introspective time that a lot of us were in, especially the masculine energies. I mean, let's be honest, like everybody was really, really going through this phase of deep solitude and introspection, especially during Mercury retrograde, given we just came out of that. And so I feel like right now is kind of gaining your footing, given the fact that we just came out of a quite a tumultuous time. I mean, considering the circumstances, you could say things are quite tumultuous as well, but I'm talking about more so in the context of coming out of this Mercury retrograde as it relates to the internal experience. It was a very cerebral time, a lot of facing ourselves and the ways in which we impact other people. So let's go ahead and put a closing message here for you. Because spirits also tell me, like, right now it might just be a good time to focus on continuing to build your sustenance, is what Spirit is telling me. Because the Queen, before I even pull a closing message, the King of Pentacles can represent somebody who's very organized. It's essentially the step below the Emperor, and so it's also being told to not lower yourself for the comfort of other people. And so if you do have somebody in your life that is trying to get you to operate in the relationship in a way that you've outgrown, it's realizing that it's okay to let go of the relationship, especially if you really don't, if you're not resonating with this person anymore, but also recognizing that there is the possibility to come into alignment, not only with another person, but with this person. And so I think it's a matter of knowing that even though you may not be talking to this person as much, this cycle may be closing out between you, and there may be a separation. And doing that inner work ultimately affects the other person in ways that will allow you both to come into a greater alignment with your own personal truths, right? So let's get a closing message. We have the Whale. It says, through music, you reclaim life's magic and grow strong in body and soul. So my understanding of this card right now, without looking at the book, for what I know of whales, they can swim pretty deep. given they are very large creatures. And so what this is telling me is right now is a good time to delve into some of your emotions. Even though we did just come out of that introspective period, we do have the Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups. And so that's telling me that you need to take a little bit more time to understand what it means to be emotionally independent. Not just what it means to have a life that looks good on the outside, but to make sure that matches your inside world. And if it doesn't, especially in terms of a relationship, then you need to, do a little bit more self-reflection, do some more inner work, do some shadow work, what have you, and figure out ways in which you can come to a greater resolution within yourself in order to bring greater balance into career and relationships, quite honestly. But that's all I have for you, Capricorn. I love you so much. If you'd like a book of personal reading, send me an email to jzargoshepard@gmail.com. But that said, that does conclude your reading for the weekend. Stay safe and stay calm out there, and I will see you in your next reading. Bye-bye. Hello, Aquarius. I hope you're doing well. Keep in mind that this can apply to any Aquarian placement that you have. If you are a cross-watcher, I do not judge you, but keep in mind that you will have Aquarius in one of your houses. That said, I do implore you to have your chart open while we do this reading. Keep in mind that time and energy are fluid, so these messages can apply to you, another person, or vice versa. So don't force it if it doesn't fit. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I hope you have a beautiful week. I hope you have had a beautiful week, But that said, we're going to do... Spirit's telling me 2 shuffles. We're going to do 2 shuffles, and we're going to get into your energies for the weekend. Alright. Cut the deck and see what Spirit has in store for you. So we have, okay, that was 2 cards. So we have 2 of Swords reverse. We have the 7 of Wands. Oh no, 7 of Swords, excuse me. The Wheel of Fortune reverse. And then we have this 7 of Pentacles reverse. Yeah, I'm also being drawn to the Queen of Cups with this Ace of Cups reverse here. And the Tower. We're going to actually pull that out too. So, I feel like you're going through a big wake-up call right now. Is really what's coming through you. Whether you're realizing this about another person or yourself, there does seem to be a sense of recognizing why something came to an end or why something hasn't taken off the way you wanted it to. And it feels like a very karmic type of situation. I'm going to be honest, like if we're looking at the overall energy, what is that, a 7 of Pentacles? And the Ace of Cups reverse. The Queen of Cups reverse can represent, a water sign you're dealing with. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, but it can also represent you in the situation. It can represent your feminine energy. When it's in the reverse, to me, this represents somebody who is hurt, who has maybe been through the ringer and is not really willing to continue to go through the same motions, whether that's with you or somebody else. But the fact of the matter is we have the Ace of Cups reverse, clarifying this energy. And when I see the 7 of Pentacles reverse, that tells me that there is an ending to the cat and mouse games. The waiting period is really just done away with, and somebody here just seems to be really fed up. So it looks like the universe seemed to have brought in some major changes into this relationship, whether you're with this person or not. This seems to have brought a lot of things to light. I do see the 7 of Swords here, so this can represent somebody being sneaky, maybe like a cheater or something like that. So maybe something like that came to light, and that's why this 2 of Swords in the reverse is here. There is no sense of truce. There is no peaceful resolution because the Wheel of Fortune in reverse with the Tower tells me that the karma has been dished out by the universe, and so whoever this queen is seems to either have come to the understanding of what a situation was, or is going through the karmic retribution of what it is they have done in the situation. But we're going to go ahead and clarify these though. Oh, just a heads up, my video cuts off around like 29 minutes, I think it is. And so if the reading is still going on your end for this 29-minute period, and there's like a gap in between the videos, because sometimes the video will cut off and the audio will keep going, but there'll be like a tiny few frames or something without like a video, depending. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So just a heads up. If it looks like it's glitching, it's because it's the video, it's not your phone. So let's clarify here. We have the 5 of Pentacles, clarifying the 2 of Swords reverse. We have the 6 of Swords reverse, clarifying the 7 of Swords. And then we'll clarify these as well. We have the Fool, And then bottom of the deck, clarifying the bottom of the deck, we do have the Seven of Pentacles reverse again. So, when I get the same card twice, I feel like there's another way I need to be looking at this. And maybe spend a little bit more time with that card. So what I'm seeing here is it's not just somebody who's fed up, but it's somebody who seems to maybe be confused. That's kind of what is coming through here. And so there's this sense of feeling unsure about which way to go, because it feels like there's a lot of love in this connection, but there's the sense of recognizing the fact that it was very unhealthy. There was a lot of trust issues going on, there was a lot of projection going on, but it doesn't really feel like there was anything shady going on. It was just the fact that there was a lot of projection between both people. And perhaps other people that were, inputting their own opinions into the connection without either of you really knowing. But the fact that we had the Fool here, it's telling me that there is an opportunity to come to a peaceful resolution, but that's going to take a lot of space. I don't know how, it can really go for as long as it needs. It's quite subjective, but we have the Five of Pentacles, and the Five of Pentacles to me represents being left out in the cold, but it also represents leaving behind situations that aren't really conducive to your own inner peace, right? And that can go both ways. Because when I see the Six of Swords reverse, Six of Swords reverse is very similar to the Five of Swords in the upright to me. To me, it represents not really moving to calmer waters, like not moving past some of the things that may have happened. And so there's this sense of the fact that either you or this other person hasn't moved past the Seven of Swords energy, hasn't really learned to accept what has happened, and that's really what's leading the situation to go towards this Five of Pentacles, this kind of out in the cold type of energy, this kind of not really speaking to each other, perhaps just kind of living together but not speaking, you know what I mean? Like it can go any which way. Like if you are living with this person, there is a sense of really just taking your space and not really communicating much with each other. And I think that's for the better right now, because it really seems like if there were to be communication, it would just be bringing up old things that happened. It wouldn't necessarily be constructive to building a healthy relationship. But just real quick, I want to see what comes out for this Fool card because I'm interested. So we're going to pull two cards here for the Fool card. We have the Eight of Swords reverse, or it's the Nine of Swords. Then we have the Fool in the upright, which is interesting. We have the Fool again. And so what I'm seeing here is the fact that we had the Nine of Swords reverse. It's like in order for things to get to a better place, you're going to need to face the demons in your mind. And that's really what Spirit is telling me here. Whether that's you or this person, you're going to have to learn to accept that the situation is what it is. You're going to have to accept what you cannot change. And from there, you can move forward. From there, you can revive a childlike nature. But what I'm also seeing here is to not make foolish decisions based on the things going on inside your mind, and making sure to understand what you're feeling before taking really, really decisive, harsh action. And so the Nine of Swords reversed to me tells me that you are stuck in your head right now. You aren't really sure which way to go, and that's why you're not really taking the path of the Fool on either side. Because the Fool can also represent somebody who's immature. It can also represent somebody who makes decisions for the sake of themselves. It can be somebody selfish, somebody who's very fleeting, somebody who's in and out. But it can also represent the ability to approach a situation from a childlike nature, or approach it from a more joyful state of mind in a way that's not going to completely rehash the past. So I think right now you just need to make a decision to take the time for yourself if you need to before really making an important decision, given the fact that it seems like what I'm feeling in this connection, while there isn't like any cup energy at all on the table, it tells me like the love is kind of off the table right now, but there's still the need to preserve the foundations of the connection. And I feel like that's a big reason why some of the more romantic aspects may be taken off the table right now. It's to get you to really understand how important you are to each other outside of the conventional means of a romantic relationship. So we're going to get a closing message here for you with the animal messages. Yeah, it looks like the video went over the 29-minute mark, so I'd imagine it cut off a couple minutes ago. Alrighty, so let's see here. We're going to get one more shuffle. We're going to get a closing message for you, Aquarius. Closing message for Aquarius, we do have the hummingbird. It says, turn away from infidelity so that love may blossom. So if you are the person that is being shady, and you maybe you're talking to your ex, or maybe this person found out you were talking to your ex and they're not okay with that. If they haven't communicated that to you, but you haven't necessarily, but you know that something is up with that, like you know that they don't like that, and you know it really, really bothers them. You know, I'm not saying that you have to completely cater to this person, but I am, saying that it is important to recognize the fact that your actions do impact this person, whether or not you like that. And so if you are somebody that is participating in like infidelity of any kind, it's important to recognize that your actions have consequences, whether or not you want to accept that, but this can also go both ways. I wish there was a more loving message to come across for you, Aquarius, but this is really what's coming out for this reading. It's very different than the other readings I did for the first and second part that I tried to do. This is the third time trying to record this, so maybe this is why. Maybe this is to get Spirit really wanted to bring this through, I suppose, because this didn't really come through as heavy as it did the first 2 times I tried doing this, so... yeah, I mean, you gotta take responsibility for your actions, Aquarius. I can't really say it in any other way than to be honest with what it is Spirit is telling me and what the cards are showing me. So if you really do care about this relationship, and you really care about this person, and you want to preserve this relationship, you gotta take responsibility for your actions. You have to take responsibility for your emotions, and you gotta recognize that sometimes you can't always have your cake and eat it too, so to speak. But keep in mind, this can go both ways. Like, if it doesn't resonate, don't force it, quite honestly. And if you have no reason to believe this is going on with the person you're dealing with, please don't project that or force that onto them, or try to make it fit, because it's just going to create complications where there don't need to be any. But that said, that does conclude your reading for the weekend. If you would like to book a personal reading, please send me an email to jzargoshepard@gmail.com. I love you so much. Stay safe and stay calm out there, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye-bye. Hello, Pisces. I hope you're doing well. Keep in mind that this can apply to any Pisces placement in your chart. If you are a cross-watcher, I do not judge you, but keep in mind, although you do not have a Piscean placement, you will have Pisces in one of your houses. So that said, I do implore you to keep your chart open while we do this reading. As an example, I don't have any Pisces placements, but I have Pisces in the 2nd house. So let's see here. Keep in mind that time and energy are fluid, so these messages can apply to you, another person, or vice versa, so don't force it if it doesn't fit, and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But that said, we are going to do 3 shuffles, and we're going to go ahead and get into your energies for the weekend of March 20th to 22nd in love. Alright, Pisces, what do we have for you? Yeah, 3 of Swords bottom of the deck, but let's see what else we got. We got the 9 of Pentacles, 8 of Pentacles, excuse me. 8 of Pentacles, 2 of Wands, Wheel of Fortune reverse, that just came out for Aquarius, and 3 of Swords. And I also see the Chariot at the bottom of the deck with the Hierophant. So, wait, is this the 8 of Swords? Yep, I'm taking that out too. Important to have out in the context. I've been noticing that a lot more lately when I'm doing these readings. A lot of the cards that I get at the bottom of the deck seem to want to come out. Spirit usually guides me to pull them, so I listen and I pull them. Because this seems to be the overarching theme, given it is the overall energy. I feel like you're in a stage of needing to tame your emotions, right? Not letting your emotions control you, because the 3 of Swords tells me that yes, it can represent a sense of mental balance. It is known as the Heartbreak card. But the fact that we have the Hierophant reverse tells me that you may not be fully learning the lesson that's presenting itself to you, because you're focused so much on the heartbreak. And that's what's keeping you in the state of 8 of Swords. 8 of Swords, it usually represents the idea that you're keeping yourself trapped when you're not nearly as trapped as you think you are. And so a lot of that entrapment comes from the mind, and it's learning to understand that you need to find a balance between your mind and your heart. And by doing so, that's going to allow you to understand the deeper lessons being presented to you right now, especially with the 8 of Pentacles and the 2 of Wands. The 2 of Wands can represent the need for balance. It can represent a crossroads you may be facing right now. So whether you might be actually be dealing with multiple people, there may be multiple people trying to get you to be in a relationship. Maybe you have feelings for somebody new that you just met, but you're still talking to your ex or what have you. I'm not judging you, do what feels right to you, but there's a sense of trying, you need to essentially understand the fact that, if you're trying to go into something to cover up the heartbreak, that's not really doing anything but placing a band-aid on a wound that needs stitches, right? So that's what I see here with the Chariot. The Chariot can represent forward movement and can represent moving very quickly into something, but it also represents the need to balance the shadow and the light within yourself. Because you have, I believe it is a card of Libra, if I'm correct, or that might be the Justice card, but essentially it's the same concept of balance and needing to find that balance. And I think right now with the Eight of Pentacles out here, it's essentially representative of the need to recognize ways you can build your life that isn't stemming from you trying to cover up what it is you're not currently trying to face or wanting to face. But the fact that we had the Wheel of Fortune reverse tells me that yes, while things may be difficult, this is going to come to an end. This heartbreak is going to come to an end. It's going to lighten up over the coming days, but there needs to be a sense of you taking your own control over what you can control. And so it's as if the universe is providing you with steps to take, and the universe will meet you halfway so long as you continue to take those steps. But let's clarify with the Dragon Tarot here. Clarifying this, we have the Knight of Cups, clarifying the Eight of Pentacles, clarifying the Two of Wands, we have the Four of Pentacles. Clarifying these, we have the Eight of Swords reverse. Interesting. This has been happening a lot for these readings. We have the Five of Pentacles, clarifying the overall energy as well. So the Five of Pentacles to me as the overall energy can represent, I feel like you may be feeling like you're just kind of like out in the cold right now. It feels like somebody may have walked away from you is what's coming out. And that's what's leaving you at a crossroads right now. So it's as if, because we have contradictory energies here. We have the Eight of Swords reverse and we have the Eight of Swords. And so I think your crossroads and the decision you need to make is whether you're going to continue to dwell on the fact that this person has left you out of the cold. Given there's the Chariot with the Five of Pentacles and the Three of Swords, that tells me that somebody may have moved very quickly out of your life. That doesn't seem like there is really any harsh words thrown around, but what I'm seeing here is with the Knight of Cups, you need to focus that energy on building your life. You need to focus that energy on regaining your emotional independence. You need to focus on retaining your own sustenance and not giving your power away so much to another person. And so if you find yourself consistently thinking about this person and replaying all the situations, bring your awareness back to your breath and call all of your energy back to yourself, cleansed, and call all of your soul fragments back to yourself, cleansed, and consistently do that as much as you find yourself thinking about this person. And so I think a good technique to apply when you're in this state is thought replacement. And so if you find a thought continuing to come up and you find yourself dwelling on the same things, replace it with anything positive, right? It can be anything. It doesn't have to be specific to that situation. So you can think about, like, let's say like you find yourself thinking about this person, right? And you tell yourself, like, every time this thought comes up, I'm going to think about, like, I don't know, like a cat or like a crystal or like, I don't know, something beautiful for you in your life. And so you essentially continually replace that thought with something positive to the point where, like, as soon as that thought comes up, you automatically associate something positive. And so you naturally kind of retrain yourself to find positive ways to experience the emotions in more healing ways. And it essentially can help you find a healthier healing process. Because the Four of Pentacles here with the Two of Wands tells me that you're just holding on way too tightly. You're refusing to let go of the fact that this came to an end, and you're a little bit at a loss of how to let go of it. So I'm going to pull a couple of clarifiers here for you. Like, what do you need to do to really help you let go of what's going on right now? Seven of Pentacles and the Prince of Swords. So it's interesting because the Prince of Swords, I mean, it can represent another person, it can represent an air sign you're dealing with, but the Prince of Swords to me represents paying close attention to the thoughts in your mind, right? Because we see this character here, it looks like they're holding a scythe type of energy, but I believe that's energy that you use when you're farming. If I am correct, that's like a harvesting tool, making me like an old harvesting tool. And so what this is telling me, because swords are of the mind, it's telling me to harvest your thoughts carefully, And don't give in to the cat and mouse games that your mind plays with itself. And so that's a process. And again, this comes back to the thought replacement. So it really just seems to be a reiteration of what I was going through earlier. Not letting your thoughts run amok, making sure that you are paying close attention to when they do, and when they start to, reel them back in. And it's a process that you need to continue to cultivate. Just like a muscle, the more you do it, the easier it will get. So let's get a closing message here for you with the animal messages. Okay, one last shuffle. Not as much of a shuffle, but it works. So what do we have here? We have the bat. It comes out a lot lately. We have the bat. It says you have the power to transcend failure and move into a limitless future. Right. So essentially the main closing message I'm getting with this card is don't let this failure or this ending or heartbreak define you. Because you are not your emotions and you are not your thoughts. There's no need to get really existential about it right now, but I think just as a broad understanding, you aren't comprised of your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. They can contribute to your character, but I think at the core, you are a limitless being that can really take your life in any direction you want it to go. But it's the matter of recognizing that and really embodying that, which again, it takes time, and it's something that should be done at your own pace and in your own way and whatever resonates most with you. But I think that's a beautiful closing message, especially coming out of a very difficult time. It sounds like coming out of a very heart-wrenching relationship, or a very just maybe a difficult ending in a friend group or what have you. It doesn't necessarily feel like a friend group type of energy. But I think right now, Spirit's main advice to let you off easy, I suppose, is essentially coming to the sense of recognizing the fact that you don't have to keep yourself bound to the past, and you do not have to keep yourself feeling like you are the person this person thought you were. And there's no need to continuously place yourself at the mercy of another person, especially if this person is likely to play the victim and maybe paint you in a certain way, but you know for a fact that things didn't go down that way. Let them do that, let them do them, and keep focusing on yourself. But that said, that's really all that's coming through for you, Pisces. I love you so much. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Stay calm and stay safe out there. But I will see you in the next reading. And that said, that does actually conclude part 3 of this reading. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do hope you don't mind that I put it out a day late. I really wanted to put it out on Friday, but like I said, we were having technical issues. So that said, that does conclude the reading. If you would like to book a personal reading, please send me an email to jzargoshepard@gmail.com. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye.